Okay, here we go. We're gonna go for achieving our pink dramatic daytime eye look with a subtle contoured face. So here we go. I hope you enjoy this. So to start off, I am going to start with my foundation. So my favorite foundation is Cargo HD, and you can buy this at Kohl's. I absolutely love it. I have sensitive skin, and this just really helps me. Every time I go and try other liquid foundations, I break out, I have issues, I don't like the way it looks on my skin, but this one is always my go-to. It's a hidden gem, it really is. So I'm gonna go ahead and use a damp beauty blender, and that is literally all I need. I love it, and this is gonna give me very full coverage. Now what I'm doing is I'm just dabbing it into my skin, just very subtly, and I also bring it back to my hairline and down my neck just a little. Okay, now I'm going to take a concealer that's going to be several shades lighter than my skin tone, because I really want to brighten up underneath my eyes today, more so than normal. And I'm also going to take it around my nose. And that's because I'm really gonna work on defining my nose today. I'm gonna put a little bit down there. And I'm also just going to drag it, and I'm gonna drop it right there. And this is the NYX HD concealer. Next, I'm going to brighten up my dark circles, and to do that, you can use a pink salmon concealer, and that really helps make the fatigue dark circle look more awake, bright, and natural. And so I'm gonna take it on a beauty blender and just push it up into the top of my eye, because I'm gonna blend this all together. And what I'm doing is I'm just taking a dab in here, because a dab is enough. You don't want to go too heavy. I mean, I personally don't want to go too heavy for this look, because it's gonna be a daytime look. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and dab it all into my skin. Now I'm going to put a translucent setting powder over that, and I'm just gonna let it sit for a little. And I'm gonna take it on my beauty blender and then just dab it underneath my eye. Bring it a little bit down my nose with the leftover. Okay, now I'm going to move on to my face makeup, and I'm gonna be using the Modern Renaissance by Anastasia. This is still my go-to palette. I've had it for the longest time. It's been out for the longest time, but their pinks I absolutely love when I'm going for a dramatic pink look. So to start off, I'm gonna take some concealer to prime my eye. And that's gonna be the same concealer, the NYX HD concealer. And I'm gonna use my finger. I like to use my fourth fingers when I'm using them as tools to blend in my makeup. And that's because it's one of your weakest fingers. So it gives like a nice subtle touch, and it's not like your pointer finger that's really aggressive and strong. It's more gentle and subtle. And that just protects your face over time. Okay, so now we're gonna take a light beigey pink tone. Any one that you have available is gonna be perfect for this. And what I like to tell people is you don't need to literally go out and buy everything you see in my videos. I want you to use the products you have now that match what I'm using, because there are so many different brands, especially eyeshadows, that are the same color. I mean, just a hair off. And I'd hate for you to have to go out and buy a whole nother palette when you already have the color in your own makeup kit. You just maybe don't know it yet. So I challenge you to go through your own makeup kit. And if you don't have this palette, then find a color similar to this. It's a light whitish beigey pink tone, and we're gonna use that to set our whole eye, okay? Okay, now that we do that, I'm going to go ahead and take this orange color. It's a really deep, bright orange, and it's very pigmented. So I'm gonna go ahead and take that color and put it in my crease. And to do this, I'm gonna be using a tapered blending brush. This is by Sigma E40. And again, as you watch my videos, I'm not promoting any brands or any cosmetics. I'm actually encouraging you to use the tools you have available right now. I don't think that you have to go out and buy everything you see here to create this look. I believe you can create the looks with the tools you have now. And I'm always gonna promote that, because when you do it that way, you are gonna open up your creativity box. You're gonna come outside the box and learn different things, because you're able to achieve certain looks with different tools, and that's true creativity. And so that's what I want you to do. So I'm always gonna promote that. I'm always gonna encourage you to use what you have and to be fun and even switch up some of the colors. It's gonna be still beautiful at the end, especially if you're switching up with colors you already know you love. So I'm gonna take this really bright and deep at the same time orange, and I'm gonna put it all in my crease, starting on the outside. And I'm just, because it's so pigmented, I'm gonna slowly just buff it in there, and I'm not going for seconds. And as you can see, if you're looking at my eyelid is right here, and then my crease is all this area, but I have a pretty good amount of distance between my eyelashes and my brow bone, so I can really buff out a really wide crease, because I want to be able to see the makeup even when my eyes are open and I'm looking directly at something. Because when I'm looking at something, like I'm looking at you right now, you can only see from the crease above and just a little bit of my eyelid. So I really want to make my makeup pop today, so I'm going to bring it up higher towards my brow bone, so that way you can see more of it when I'm looking directly at you. Now I'm going to do 2 dabs back in the same orange, shake it off a little, and then do the same thing to this eye. And then I'm just gonna go back to this eye because I see it's a little bit different, and I'm gonna buff it out just a little bit more to make them symmetric. And the trick here for buffing and blending is just have a nice light touch. You don't want to push really hard against your skin or your eye. You wanna have a nice, like light, gentle touch, like barely be touching your eyelid, and then just do gentle, subtle, soft, fluffy strokes back and forth. And that will really help you blend flawlessly. Okay, so now that we have our crease done, what I'm gonna do is move on to this beautiful, it's got a little bit of a shimmer, but it's a deep pink, almost reddish, and I love this color, and it's got a little bit of a pink shimmer in it, so we're gonna go ahead and use that. And for this, I'm gonna go ahead and use my fingers to put this on, okay? Sometimes with certain colors and certain brands and certain pigmentations, my fingers work best to apply a full coverage on my lid. And for me, this palette is one of those. If I use a brush, then I'll notice a lot of fallout on my cheek. And because I've already put my foundation on, I don't want to deal with fallout. So I'm going to use my finger because I control it more with less fallout, and it really packs it on there. Now, here's going to be a lesson learned. If you do get a little fallout, don't freak out and instantly wipe it. I used to do that a lot when I was younger. I'd just attack it, and it would be mascara globs, it would be a drip of eyeliner, it would be powder, and it would really smudge all over my face, and I would get really frustrated. So the trick is to just be chill and get it when you're done and ready to go after it. So as you can see, I got a big old glob. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take a fluffy brush and just gently and super lightly flick it off. Now what I'm gonna go in and do is blend the two colors together. So I'm gonna take a bit of a red. So as you can see here, it's kind of like a brick red. That's the color I want you to kind of go for. Take a little bit of this brick red, just a little bit. This stuff is so pigmented, so I'm gonna shake it off as well. And then I'm gonna put this tightly in my crease and not go as high. But I'm gonna use this shade to blend the two colors together. And I'm gonna go all the way inside my tear duct and all the way to my outer V. Nice and light. I'm gonna do 2 dips back in there, shake it off, and do the same thing to this side. Okay, so now we've blended the 3 colors together, and next what I'm gonna do is take an angled brush and I'm gonna use it in a shimmery pink tone. So any shimmery pink tone you have available. Again, I'm sticking with this one palette, so I'm gonna use this one, and it's called Vermeer, but use what you have available. And this one is going to be super, super pigmented, and I really like that because everything else is for the most part nude except for the pink that has a little bit of shimmer, but not much. So I really want to highlight my brow bone and get a pop of shimmer in there. Yes. Oh, I love this color. It literally just, oh my goodness, it just glows. Now what we're gonna do is take a pencil and we're gonna go underneath our waterline and really buff in our final color. So I'm gonna take a pencil brush and I'm gonna take that same brick red that we used to blend in our crease. And I'm gonna start with that one first and build it from the outer corner and then slowly buff the remaining amount in, because I want more of an angled eye. I want more emphasis and deep tones on the outer corner of my eye. Now what I'm gonna do is take the color that I used on my lid, which was a darker pink, and I'm gonna put that on the inside and also towards the center of my eye. Now I'm gonna shake it off, and I like to just wipe the excess off, and then I'm gonna go in and buff all of it together, starting on the outside. And then what I'm gonna do is take my fingers to just subtly just put it all together. So you can just gently take your fingers, and what that really does is just helps blend it all together, and it's free of charge. You don't need to go and purchase a brush to do this. You're just gonna do a nice gentle flick, gently combine the colors together at the outer V. Then I'm gonna take a big brush. Any big brush, any fluffy brush you have is gonna be totally fine for this. And I'm gonna wash and brush off underneath my eyes, not wash. I'm gonna brush off any excess. And I'm also gonna bring it all the way up to where I just did the eyeshadow and just let it drag across that to like really blend it and buff it out. And I'm gonna do the same thing to the other side. Next, we're gonna do our eyebrows. So I'm sure we all go through phases. We all have tons of different techniques that we use for our eyebrows. So for this look today, I'm gonna use the Anastasia Soft Brown Dip Brow Pomade, and I'm gonna use an angled brush to go ahead and fill it in. So any angled brush will work, or if you have a pencil brush, or if you have a brush that you know you like to use with these. What we're also gonna need is a brush with a wand at the end, because what I like to do after you put your eyebrow on, you can see how it looks really thick and it looks very predominant and very sharp. But if you use one of these brushes, one of these wands to buff it out at the end, it's gonna look more soft and natural. But it all depends on the look you're going for. So the look I'm going for today is gonna be more soft and natural brows. Okay, so now I like to start at the top, and I really like to just do an outline of the brow shape I want, and then I gently buff it in and fill it out. Now I'm not getting any excess pomade right now, but I'm just gonna use the remainder that I have. I'm gonna just fluff it in and buff it out with what I have, and that's gonna give more of a natural and softer look. And when I get to the inside of my brows, I really want this to look more soft and natural. So I'm just gonna flick it up. And I'm also not going in for any more product. I'm using the remainder of product that I have. That way it looks more subtle and natural, but it's still filling it in, you'll see. Okay, now I'm gonna take this brush and I'm just gonna buff it out. And a little bit of brushing through your brows after you put pencil or gel through them, it really makes them look more natural and more subtle. Then I'm gonna top it with some clear brow gel. Any one you have is gonna be great. And when I do this, I always flick up and then I bring it back down, flick up. I never go like up, down, up, down. It's always flick up, flick up. And the way you flick depends on what type of look you're going for. If you flick straight up, you may be going more for a wild look, a little bit like naturally wild. But I'm flicking with the direction of the brows, and that's gonna give it more of a sleek, sophisticated, clean look. More of a planned look, if you will. And that's it. A little will do and a little will hold for the all day. Next, we are going to add some deep brown eyeliner pencil to my waterline. Okay. If you are in my age group, you will know that this is the worst habit ever, but I can't stop doing it because I've been doing it since I was first taught makeup, because that's what the person who I learned makeup from, or one of the people, taught me. And so now I have this horrible habit of doing, even though it does nothing for you. So if you don't have that habit, don't develop it. It does nothing for you. See? Nothing. It just makes you look funny and weird. It's taking everything in my body right now to not make that face. Whew. Partially achieved. Then we're going to curl our lashes. If you're using mascara, I would highly recommend you always curl your lashes. You'll see a pretty big difference if you're using mascara and if you're putting fake lashes on. Next, you're gonna use your favorite mascara. I'm using the Iconic London for the first time. And just a little tip, whenever I'm using mascara, every time I bring it out of the wand, I like to clean the tip off, because if there's a glob on the tip of this wand, chances are you're probably gonna hit somewhere on your eye and then you'll have to clean that up. We've all been there, but just wiping it off and making sure it's wiped off will really avoid issues and accidents. Next, what I like to do for my lower lash line is use the travel size mascara wands, because it's much smaller and easier to control. Instead of having the big wand and risking more accidents, this is much more convenient. So I always get the sample or travel sizes just for my lower lash line. So now what I like to do is just finish my face with some powder bronzer, some blush, and some highlight. And I'm also gonna get a pop of color inside my tear duct. So I'm gonna take my pencil brush again and I'm gonna dip it into a shimmery pink tone, because I'm gonna use that to highlight my tear duct. So any very bright and super shimmery pink that you have, go ahead and use that. And just a little dab inside your tear duct will be perfect. Next, I'm gonna take some of my favorite bronzer. Whatever your favorite is perfectly okay. This is the Tarteist Pro Glow palette, and in it there's a color called Sculpt, and I'm gonna be using that shade to put in my cheeks, on my forehead, and at my jawline. So whenever I do this, I always count how many dabs I do into the powder, and I also count the seconds that I'm applying it for, because that way it'll give you an even look on both sides of your face. And I always count the same and do the same dips to each side. And then I like to go and just buff the whole thing out. Then I'll take 3 dabs and do it along my jawline. And that's to really sculpt out your jawline and make your neck and face look slimmer. Okay, next we're gonna go ahead and apply your favorite blush. I'm gonna use a super bright blush for this because honestly, some colors can look scary in their palette, but they're not when you actually apply it. And it all just depends on how much you apply, which will get you a certain color. So for this look, I'm gonna be using a peachy pink. And this is gonna be from Makeup Geek, but any peachy pink that you have is gonna be perfect for this look. Go ahead and take your blush brush that you have or any medium to small fluffy brush that you have. And I do 3 dabs and then I put it on the cheeks of my apple and then I drag it all the way back. And it's also summertime, so I like to use a little bit more blush because it gives that natural sun-kissed look. So going up a couple shades also gives the bronze sun-kissed look, but doing a red or a pink or a peach gives that natural like sun-kiss, like you got a little bit red on you, but it's natural. You don't actually have to burn your skin to achieve that look. And I think a little bit of that is fun because it's summertime, and I think it's sexy and I think it's fun. So I'm gonna add this color to my temples and also across my nose. But just a little bit will go a long way, especially when you get out in the sunlight, you'll see it. Next, I'm gonna be doing a really bronze highlighter. So I'm gonna take this one mixed with this lighter yellowy highlighter from the Kylie Jordan palette. So I'm gonna mix those just a little bit and I'm gonna put it on my cheeks. I'm also gonna take 1 dab of each and put it on my temples. Put a little bit of just the bright yellow on my Cupid's bow. And then I'm gonna take my finger because it gives me more precision and I'm gonna use a little bit of the bright yellow highlighter and I'm just gonna put a dot on my nose, like on the tip of my nose. And then I'm gonna give it a little bit of a break and I'm gonna start like about right here and bring it up the bridge of my nose. And I give it a break because sometimes my nose can look a little bit long and this part can be a little bit pointy, but that break really helps make it look a little bit slimmer. And I really don't want to contour my nose today because I'm going to be outside, so I don't want to have a heavy look on. So for the lip liner, we're going to be using the Kylie Jenner Candy K, and I'm just going to outline my lips with that. And I can do it pretty sloppy because I have a trick. What I want you to do is I want you to take your fingers after you wipe them off and I want you to just rub that in. Let your fingers follow the natural curve of your lips and let it just rub it in. And what that's gonna do is give you a more soft and subtle look. And then I'm gonna take one of my favorite lip glosses, which is the Jeffree Star and the Christmas Cookie, and I'm just gonna fill it in. Rub my lips together, and then I'm gonna do the same thing with my fingers because it gives it more of a softer look. All right, and that concludes this look. I hope you love it. This is a perfect, very bold daytime look, and it's absolutely stunning on everyone, all skin tones, all eye colors. So I hope you enjoy this, and if you like this video, please click subscribe, and also check us out at www.dabblemakeup.com and learn more about the courses that we have to offer for you. Take care, and I hope you have an amazing week. Bye.